The following video was captured by a family's CCTV while they were out. On their way back to the house, they received a motion notification, which isn't unusual, but when they opened the app to check, what they saw stopped them cold. Watch. If you look closely, a figure slowly peeks out from one of the rooms, pauses, and then pulls back in, gently closing the door behind it. Their first reaction wasn't paranormal, it was panic. They immediately assumed someone had broken in, a neighbor or a stranger, so they checked every other camera, the front entrance, the driveway, the backyard, even the side windows. Nothing. No one entered, no one left. No broken locks, no forced windows, and when they rushed home, everything was exactly as they had left it. No drawers open, no items missing, and no sign that anyone had physically been there. If it were an intruder, there should have been evidence, movement outside, a door opening, something, but there wasn't, which leaves two possibilities. Either someone was already inside the home before they left, or what they saw wasn't a physical person at all. Some viewers suggest it could be a closet ghoul, a term used to describe humanoid entities believed to hide in enclosed spaces like closets, crawl spaces, or walls. In folklore, these beings are said to feed on fear, making scratching or tapping sounds to provoke a response. They rarely show themselves fully, preferring partial appearances, just enough to be noticed. Others suggested something far darker, a crawler. Crawlers are often described as pale or shadowy humanoid creatures with elongated limbs, capable of moving silently and contorting their bodies in unnatural ways. But the thing is, whichever theory you lean towards still sounds terrifying. If you were in their position, knowing something appeared inside your home while you were away, and there's absolutely no explanation for how it got in or out, would you feel safe sleeping there again? And what would you do? In this next clip, a family began noticing strange things happening inside their home. Kitchen drawers slightly open in the morning when they were sure they'd closed them. Lights flickering on in rooms no one had entered. Objects like keys and remotes disappearing only to show up in obvious places later. Footsteps upstairs when everyone was downstairs, and soft knocking sounds from inside walls. Every time something happened, the wife immediately suspected something paranormal. The husband, however, insisted there had to be a logical explanation. Air pressure, faulty hinges, house settling, even stress playing tricks on perception. The two never agreed. So to settle it once and for all, they installed cameras. One night, while they were both sitting in the living room, this happened. The cabinet door suddenly swings open on its own. No one is near it, and if you look closely, something else appears. What looks like an orb emerging from inside the cabinet and moving directly toward the camera. For the wife, that was confirmation. For the husband, not quite. He argues it could be dust reflecting infrared light, or the cabinet hinge finally giving way, but admits he got terrified because it happened unexpectedly. Now, according to the activity has been increasing, more noises, more movement, and a stronger feeling of being watched. The real question here isn't just whether it's paranormal or logical, it's how to stop it from happening. So what would you advise them to do next? Now in this next video, a man claims he may have captured proof of the paranormal, But I'll let you be the judge. Watch.
Sal. Enséñame algo. No, sin toalla.
Ya, no. Ay.
Sin toalla.
Yo.
In the footage, everything starts off normal. He's casually filming while his girlfriend steps out of the bathtub. It's light-hearted, calm, nothing unusual, but just as he's about to leave the bathroom, he hears something that makes him pause. The water was running again. He knew it was turned off, and his girlfriend was already out, so naturally, he turned back to check. Suddenly, a romantic moment turned into a nightmare within seconds. So is this paranormal? Or a perfectly timed illusion? I'll let you be the judge on this one. The following video was captured by a building's CCTV. One morning around 5:30 a.m., a man was heading out for work, but as he stood outside his door locking it, something moved in the corner of his vision. At first, he thought it was just someone passing by in the hallway, but when he looked again, whatever it was didn't move like a person. Have a look.
Saliendo para trabajar hoy a las 5:30 de la mañana.
In the footage, a strange-looking figure passes through the corridor and then suddenly disappears from view. Not turning a corner or entering a doorway, it simply disappears in a way that doesn't feel natural. What makes this even stranger is his reaction. As he walks toward the exit, you can see him subtly scanning the hallway, almost expecting to run into whoever just passed. Later, he admitted he was trying to figure out if maybe someone in the building worked night shifts and was just getting home unusually early. But according to him, most residents leave around that time. No one returns. Out of curiosity, he mentioned it to building security, and that's when things escalated. One of the guards pulled up the CCTV and showed him the clip, and they were just as confused. When they checked other cameras covering stairwells, entrances, and elevators, no one entered any apartments, no doors opened, and no one came in from outside. The only visible movement in the building during that time frame was people leaving for work. So what exactly passed that camera? Was it a neighbor moving too fast for the camera to capture properly? A technical glitch? Or something sharing the building that doesn't need keys, doors, or elevators? Whatever passed that morning didn't show up anywhere else on the system. And that's the part that continues to bother everyone involved. The guy in this next video says he's been waking up almost every morning to find his house in complete disarray. Chairs slightly shifted, items knocked off tables, small objects scattered across the floor, like someone had been searching for something in the dark. He does have a cat, and naturally, that was the first explanation. But according to him, he's had the cat for years, and it's never behaved like this. And whenever the activity starts, and he opens his eyes, the cat is right beside him. One morning, after hearing that same movement again, he grabbed his phone. This time, he was determined to get proof, especially for his girlfriend, who doesn't fully believe him. Here's what the camera caught.
energía que están llegando. Io metto una di colore. È inutile. E acá non c'è niente.
After posting the footage, paranormal believers quickly noticed something, the artifacts sitting on the table. And when he mentioned he just got them recently, people started dropping comments. In paranormal lore, objects with unknown histories, especially antiques, artifacts, or items from estate sales, are often considered attachment points. The belief is that certain objects can carry emotional residue, spiritual attachments, or what investigators call residual energy. Now he's left wondering whether removing them will stop it, or if whatever came with them is already comfortable in his home. What do you think? Now in this next clip, a guy decides to record a quick video to show his sister's fiancé just how unsettling the crematorium where he works can feel after hours. What starts as a casual walkthrough, almost playful, slowly shifts into something far more disturbing. Watch this.
Lights, they turn off automatically at a certain hour. And I'll tell you right now, I'm gonna walk you through I have a friend that works that he would see and hear things coming from these furnaces when they're burning the bodies. So when I'm walking through here, they usually put the urns out to send to the families. So when I'm walking here at night, I walk right by these urns that they put on these tables here. And then I come down, freaking out.
Crematoriums already carry a certain weight. Even in the daytime, they're quiet in a way that feels heavy. Many believe crematoriums absorb grief, and there's a reason for that. Day after day, families walk in carrying shock, sadness, denial, anger. That kind of emotion doesn't just disappear. Some paranormal researchers argue that intense emotional energy can imprint itself on environments, especially in places closely tied to death. Others believe repeated exposure to the deceased can thin the barrier between worlds, making activity more likely, particularly at night, when the building is empty and still. He's convinced it's a ghost haunting the crematorium, and until someone offers him a better explanation for what he saw and felt in that moment, he's standing by that belief. So what do you think? A mind reacting to a heavy environment? Industrial sounds misinterpreted in the silence of night? Or something lingering where the living and the dead briefly meet? You decide. In this next video, a man captures something absolutely terrifying while he was out at night. At first, nothing seemed out of the ordinary, just darkness, trees, and the usual night sounds. But then, he looked closely and saw this.
Yeah, I can't zoom in, babe. Look at that. Wait, I lost it. There it is, there it is. You see that shit right in the middle of the camera? What the f that? Oh, nah. Oh, nah. Oh, nah.
Something is crouched low to the ground, moving in a way that doesn't look natural. Now here's where it gets unsettling. For centuries, forests have been at the center of paranormal folklore. Woods are often described as thin places, areas where the boundary between worlds is weaker. In many cultures, forests are believed to be home to spirits, shapeshifters, and entities that avoid populated areas. There are legends of creatures that mimic human movement but never quite get it right. Some viewers say it resembles a crawler, a pale, humanoid cryptid, often reported in wooded areas. Others think it could be a skinwalker or shapeshifter from folklore, entities said to imitate human or animal forms, but with subtle, disturbing differences. Of course, there's always the possibility of misidentification. Darkness can turn ordinary things into something terrifying, but one thing is certain, whatever that was didn't move in a way that felt normal. Now in this next clip, a woman says she's been terrified of staying in her apartment for days. It started with cabinets slightly opening when she was sure she closed them, faint footsteps in the hallway when no one else should have been there, and the constant feeling that someone was standing just outside her bedroom door at night. One morning, while getting ready for work, something happened that she couldn't ignore. Watch this.
I was just getting ready for work and I freaking saw something in my bathroom that scared the freaking shit out of me. I don't know what it was, but it looked like a ghost. Like literally, I think I just saw a ghost. I want to get out of here. I want to get out of my house. I'm so scared. It was like right there where those shadows are. Those are shadows from the towel right there. But there was like a shadow right there where those other shadows are. And it looked like a person. It looked like a ghost. Like right there. Oh shit. Holy f***!
If you look closely, something peeks from behind the door. Like whatever it is doesn't want to be fully seen. Ahmed was just sitting back, watching TV in his house, when he heard a few sharp knocks coming from somewhere inside the house. At first he ignored it, but when it happened again, he grabbed his phone and started recording.
Vea mi gente, yo realmente no creía mucho en estas cosas. Yo vivo totalmente solo. ¿Escucharon la puerta? ¿Escucharon? No seas pincha. Yo vivo solo, aquí no hay nadie. Se los juro, yo vivo totalmente solo. No puede ser, o sea, no puede ser. Estoy cagado, estoy cagado, estoy cagado, estoy cagado. No puede ser, no puede ser, no puede ser, no puede ser. No puede ser, no puede ser, no puede ser, no puede ser. Estoy cagado, estoy cagado. No puede ser. Dios, Dios. ¿Qué mierdas? No seas tan mamón. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, no puede ser, no puede ser. No puede ser, no puede ser, no puede ser, no, no, no. No, no, no puede ser, no puede ser. Dios, 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 Dios. No, 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 no. No, no, no. Vean, les juro que acabo de escuchar no sé si vieron la maldita silla moviéndose. No puede, maldita ser posible. Vea, yo estoy solo, yo vivo con nadie, no hay hilos. No puede ser. No puede ser, no puede ser, no puede ser, no puede ser. No puede ser, no puede ser. Ay, Dios, Dios. No hay nadie, no hay nadie, no hay ni mierda, no hay nadie. No hay ni una mierda, no hay nadie. Ay, no, no. Mierda, mierda. Mierda, ¿qué hago? Mierda, mierda, mierda. No puede ser, no puede ser. ¡Ay, puta! ¡Mierda! No, 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 no.
As the camera rolls, a few more knocks echo through the room, clear and deliberate. Ahmed slowly stands up and approaches the door, hesitating before pulling it open, only to find nothing there at all. No one in the hallway, no movement, just silence. Trying to shake it off, he walks down the corridor to check the other rooms. That's when something even stranger happens. A piece of furniture in the next room, what looks like a sofa at first glance, suddenly slides a short distance across the floor on its own. Startled, Ahmed backs away and retreats to his bedroom, shutting the door behind him as fast as he can. Almost immediately, the knocking starts again, this time sounding closer, like something is trying to get back in. After a few moments, he works up the courage to leave the room and return to the same spot. This time, he realizes it wasn't even a sofa that moved. It was a stool, now sitting out of place in the middle of the room. He pushes it back to where it was, clearly shaken, and once again retreats to his bedroom, locking himself inside. The noises don't stop, and by the end of the recording, Ahmed admits this wasn't the first time something like this had happened. After everything he's experienced in that house, he's now seriously considering selling the property and leaving it behind for good. In this next clip, popular YouTuber Narrated is casually vlogging, talking to his audience about something strange that happened to him earlier that day. At first, it feels like a normal story time. He explains that he heard unexplained noises in his house and felt like someone else was there with him, but he brushes it off, half joking as he talks it through.
I want you to tweet me and put in some comments any story that you guys have, or any moments of I don't know if I can explain that, or what is going on. If you believe in ghosts, if you don't believe in ghosts, I want to hear from you guys, man, because maybe there's something I should be doing in here to stop it. I have no idea, but yeah, I just want to share it with you guys. Really.
As he starts wrapping up the video, talking to the camera, something unsettling happens in the background. For just a split second, a white, mist-like apparition appears behind him, clearly humanoid in shape before fading out almost instantly. Narrated doesn't react at all and continues talking, completely unaware of what the camera just captured. It's only after viewers rewatched the footage frame by frame that the figure was noticed, sparking a wave of comments pointing it out. Whether it was a coincidence or something genuinely unexplained, the fact that it appeared right as he finished recounting the experience makes the moment feel disturbingly well-timed. After that moment went viral, Nadeshot decided to take things a step further. Instead of just vlogging, he set up a camera system inside his house, aiming it towards several different areas where he thought the noises might have been coming from. He left it running while he went about his day, hoping to catch something he couldn't explain. The footage cycles between different rooms in the house, switching every few seconds, all of them completely empty and still. Nothing seems out of place at first, until the feed returns to the kitchen. Without warning, the camera suddenly jolts and tips forward, crashing onto the floor as if it had been pushed. There's no one in the room, no pets nearby, and nothing visible that could have knocked it over. The recording cuts shortly after, leaving viewers with yet another unexplained moment inside the same house. Paired with the earlier apparition caught behind him on camera, it's no surprise fans started questioning whether whatever he joked about at the start was actually very real. Sara is in her house late at night, filming again in hopes of finally catching whatever has been haunting the place for so long. She's talking calmly to the camera, explaining that the activity has been happening for weeks, when something interrupts her mid-sentence.
Esta casa se ha limpiado muchísimas veces porque la gente no dura rentando. Rompe el contrato por una u otra cosa y tuvimos que venirla a limpiar el día de hoy porque ya mañana se van a mover. Se las quiero enseñar. Lo raro es que dice el realtor que no dura la gente. Esta casa se ha limpiado muchísimas veces porque rompe el contrato a la gente. No mames. Ya es noche. Estoy sola. Chingados, está ahí. No hay nada. Esta pinche casa la han rentado un chingo de veces. Y no sé por qué rompe el contrato la gente. Ay, no, déjenme regresar, sí, porque me dio cosas a la pinche puerta. Y dicen los señores que rentan aquí que miran demasiadas cosas. La gente no dura viviendo aquí, rompe el contrato, así que vamos a grabar un poquito para allá. Ese pinche cuarto ahí no sé qué fregados es. Ya las muchachas me están esperando allá afuera. Miren, allá me da cosa. Tengo que prender la luz. Ahorita voy a ir a prender la luz para seguir grabando. ¿Te imaginas? Para que la gente rompa el contrato acá es porque de plano no aguantan a vivir aquí. Y ahorita les voy a enseñar lo demás para allá. Déjenme prender la luz. ¿Dónde está la luz acá? Chingada madre. Ahí está. Ok, ahorita les voy a enseñar. Esta es una recámara. poniendo ahorita tenso. Entonces, el Señor dice que ya van varias familias que rompen el contrato. No sé qué es lo que pasó aquí. Nunca me ha dicho el realtor qué es lo que... Chingados, que... Nunca me ha dicho el realtor qué es lo que realmente ha pasado.
Behind her,
Pero sí la hemos limpiado varias veces porque no dura la gente. Y eso sí, la verdad es algo extraño que no dure nadie. Yo no sé si tú has vivido en una casa así, donde te hayas tenido que haber salido por algo o roto el contrato. Ahorita les voy a enseñar qué es eso que se escucha. ¡Ey! ¿Andan acá? No mames. Espérenme. Iba a dejar grabando, pero la neta ya me está dando cosa. Se escucha el ruido por acá. No sé qué sea. Yo creo que me voy a tener que ir.
the bathroom door slowly opens on its own. She notices it a moment later and walks over, pushing it fully open and showing the camera inside to prove there's nothing there. Confident it was just another strange coincidence, she continues walking through the house, still talking as she goes. A few rooms later, she reaches a darker area where the pull string on a ceiling light is gently swaying back and forth, even though the air is completely still. She pauses, then pauses to turn the light on, brushing it off and continuing on. Eventually, she comes across another dark room, unaware of what is about to happen. In the doorway ahead of her, a completely blacked out figure slowly peeks out, its shape barely visible against the darkness before pulling back out of sight. Sara never reacts and keeps talking as if nothing happened, but viewers immediately noticed it when she uploaded the footage. Whatever has been moving doors and lights in her house may have finally revealed itself, even if she didn't see it in the moment. The clip starts quietly, with the dog sitting stiffly at the window, completely fixated on the blinds like it's watching something only it can see. The woman filming notices how tense the dog is, and slowly zooms in toward the small gap between the blinds, almost as if she already knows there's something there.
Yep, I knew she was going. They're out there. As usual. Okay, they're out there again. Dang, what'd it do? It backed off real fast when Champ come up. Dang, trying to hide from Champ? Whatever the heck that is out there. Now it's back. See, its eye blinking right in the window. Come here, kitty. I got to show Andy this video. He ain't gonna believe this. There's no way he cannot have to mistake not see this. Kitty, if you don't get, that's it, I've had enough of.
Through the narrow opening, two faint glowing specks can be seen hovering outside in the darkness, positioned far too evenly apart to be a reflection or an animal she recognizes. She whispers to her dog, calling its name again and again, trying to get it to come back to her, but the dog doesn't respond at all. It doesn't flinch, doesn't turn around, just stares, frozen and mesmerized. Minutes pass, with her growing more panicked, raising her voice and begging the dog to move while the glowing shapes remain perfectly still, blinking just once. She later claims this wasn't the first time she'd seen something like this near her home, believing it could be what people refer to as the dogman. The video cuts abruptly with no resolution, leaving viewers unsettled by how long the dog stayed locked in place, and whatever it was watching just beyond the blinds. At around 9:35 at night, the camera starts rolling in near silence, except for the sound of a woman crying somewhere in the house, while a man quietly narrates what he's hearing. To clear up any doubt, he pans the camera toward the television to show it was just a movie. What happens next is far more relevant though. Take a look.
Actividad paranormal en mi casa.
Me acuerdo de cada expresión en su cara.
Bueno, me encuentro viendo una película, ya casi van a ser las 10 de la noche.
Todo lo que pasó cuando estaba con él, si de verdad fue real. Yo los vi.
Escuché cosas allá en la cocina y mire, están todos esos cajones de arriba
Algo revuelta.
abiertos y pues
Cuando 2 toneladas de metal se impactan contra Dios.
pensé que no iba a suceder nada hoy, pero
No importa, es la verdad. Peleamos esa semana, ¿lo olvidaste? Ustedes tuvieron un épico verano. Y eso jamás lo olvidarás.
tía, algo allá en la cocina.
Sí. Yo no lo olvidaré y solo era un espectador celosa. No puede ser. Es mi primer día de vuelta y ya estoy hecha un bodrio. Es cierto. Es la verdad.
Esos cajones se están moviendo solos.
Escuché lo que pasó, pues lo lamento mucho. Si fueras mi hija, te diría que lo usaras.
He slowly turns the camera back toward the doorway leading into the kitchen, explaining that unexplained activity has been happening in his house for weeks now. As he edges closer, one of the kitchen cabinets suddenly slams shut on its own with a sharp bang, making him flinch, but not retreat. He steps fully into the kitchen, heart clearly racing, when another cabinet door snaps closed right in front of him. Then, as if reacting to his movement, a third cabinet slams shut as he gets closer to it. Trying to stay calm, he opens each cabinet one by one, showing they're empty, and nothing inside could have caused them to move. No loose hinges, no drafts, no pets in the room. Whatever was making itself known didn't need the noise anymore. It had already proven it was there. In this final clip, CCTV footage from inside a building captures something that genuinely defies logic. The camera is fixed on a quiet doorway with no one anywhere in frame. For a while, nothing happens at all until it does.
Look at that. There's no way that could have failed by, like, somebody didn't do that. Something did that by itself. How could a ceiling light fall on its own like that? There's no way. No way.
Without warning, the ceiling light suddenly rips free and crashes straight down onto the floor below. There's no shaking beforehand, no visible trigger, no person nearby who could have touched it. Lights like that do not just fall on their own, especially in an empty, secured area. The impact echoes through the hallway, and the room is left completely still again, as if nothing happened. After reviewing the footage, staff confirmed nobody had entered the area before or after the incident. The security guard on duty that night reportedly resigned the very next day, saying the footage was enough for him. Whatever caused that light to fall was never identified, and the building has since gained a reputation among workers as a place you do not want to be alone in. In the following video, a group of innocent people were trying to make sense of what they're seeing after the atmosphere in the room completely changed. The door was shaking earlier, and the second they started recording, it suddenly goes still, almost like whatever was there was listening.
So we are all sitting here, enjoying our Taco Bell, right? And Ghost Malone was over there shaking the door a second ago. Ghost Malone, if you are still around, do something.
It was a sign.
Oh, okay. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Look at her.
Nonchalant. Alright, so ironically, I'm watching Ghostbusters, right? Ghost Malone. Ghosty. Yo. Are you kidding? Alright, so I've been asking Ghost Malone some questions. Okay, so 1 time if you're there, 2 times, or I guess no times if you're not. Definitely there, okay. Are you friendly? Okay, okay. Do you like Ghostbusters? No? Okay, do you like movies? Okay, okay. And just on Ghostbusters, I guess it's insulting. Are you here to cause harm? Okay. Okay. And I wish I knew Morse code. We'd try that. Are you an older spirit? Okay, but not a bad spirit. Okay. Is there more than one of you? Oh, okay.
One of them nervously asks if it's still around, and that's when a small child's toy car slowly rolls across the floor on its own, stopping just as quickly as it started. The mood flips from laughter to shock instantly. They begin talking to it calmly, asking simple questions, and almost immediately, a painting on the wall starts to move, tilting forward and lifting slightly, as if being pushed from behind. Realizing it might be responding, they start using the painting as a way to communicate, asking yes or no questions, and watching it shift each time. Over the course of the clip, they figure out whatever is there doesn't seem hostile, just curious, and oddly specific, reacting negatively when Ghostbusters is mentioned, but calming down again moments later. By the end, they're convinced this isn't just one presence either, since the ghost claimed to have an accomplice. People were quick to question why everyone seemed so calm during the first encounter, almost accusing them of downplaying what happened. Instead of arguing back, the man behind the camera decided to do the opposite and returned to the room alone to see if whatever was there would respond again.
So, a couple weird things have happened tonight, like my mom's painting over there has moved. And Ghosty. Ghost Malone. You there? Don't judge the trash. It's trash day. Ghosty. Okay. Maxie, what was that? Huh? So we're sitting here. Revelation here is
Hi, Maxie.
it should also be noted that we've had several like offers from paranormal people to come here and whatnot. We're down. But there's been a few of them that are like private profiles, minus the big ones you guys have suggested. Nobody's reached out, but I don't know. I might take offers for people to just come stay the night so you can see whether it's real or not for yourself. I don't know. But yeah, I am gonna take a list of questions. I've been writing down in the comments all the questions you guys have for Ghost Malone, and then we're gonna do like the Stranger Things light or dog button things to see if that does anything.
The house is quiet now, no nervous laughter, no group energy, just him speaking carefully into the empty space, asking if the presence is still around. For a moment, nothing happens. Then, without warning, a large baby playpen sitting across the room begins to slide across the floor on its own. It moves slowly but deliberately, scraping loudly as it shifts several feet with no one touching it. The man backs away in shock, clearly shaken now that there's no one else there to share the moment with. He later explained that this wasn't an isolated event either. Multiple paranormal investigators have since visited the house, documenting repeated activity and ruling out natural causes. Despite their efforts, nothing has stopped what's happening, and the family has made it clear that if the experts can't put an end to it, they're moving out for good. Whatever is in that house clearly has no interest in being ignored, no matter if it has good intentions. Moving into a new house is already daunting enough, but for Kyle, that feeling didn't last long at all. He'd only just bought the place and was walking through it for the first time properly, filming on his phone while the rooms were still empty and undecorated. It was meant to be a simple walkthrough, nothing dramatic, just getting familiar with the layout, but the house clearly had other plans.
I was moving into my new house. I was alone, and this happened. Good luck to me.
As Kyle pans down the long corridor, the lights begin turning themselves on and off, one by one, flickering in a slow, deliberate pattern that doesn't look like a wiring issue at all. At the far end of the hallway, a door starts to close on its own, inch by inch, until it's almost fully shut. Kyle walks toward it, clearly uneasy, and pushes to open it again. The moment he tries, he pauses. Something on the other side is pushing back. You can hear it in his voice as he strains, confused, wondering if anyone's there. After a few seconds, the resistance suddenly stops, and he manages to force the door open. He steps inside, filming the entire time, only to find an empty room. No people, no animals, no explanation. For a house that was supposed to be a fresh start, it didn't waste any time letting him know he might not be alone there at all. Things only escalate from there.
What the F is going on? Things are going crazy now.
As Kyle moves further into the house, another door suddenly starts rattling aggressively in front of him, shaking in its frame like something on the other side is trying to force its way out. He hesitates, then pushes it open, only to step into the next room and realize it's happening again. This time, a sliding door inside the corridor begins opening and closing by itself, gliding back and forth with no one touching it. The movement is steady and deliberate, not random. Kyle keeps filming, clearly shaken now, when something else catches his eye. A doll sitting in the room shifts on its own. He doesn't touch it, doesn't go near it, but it moves anyway, just enough to make it unmistakable. At that point, the excitement in his voice is gone, replaced with pure unease. Whatever is in this house seems to be reacting to him room by room, almost guiding him deeper inside. For a place he just moved into, the activity is immediate and relentless, and Kyle realizes this new house isn't just unsettling, it might actually be dangerous if he stays. The Martin house has a reputation for child sightings, with locals claiming they've seen figures in the upper windows for years, despite the place being completely abandoned. In this clip, a woman just happens to be driving past when she remembers the stories and decides to pull over and film from a distance, more out of curiosity than anything else.
This is the Martin house. Haunted. Panama City, Florida, my first book. And I'm just driving by randomly. Look in the window. Please, somebody tell me you see what I'm seeing. A child. He supposedly, maybe, we're not sure. Stories have changed over the years. Man went crazy and killed his entire family after finding out his wife was cheating with the servant. Hung the servant on a tree that used to be in the front yard that the hurricane took out. But the stories are that the children can be seen. I see a kid. Fuck.
As she zooms in on the top floor, a small childlike figure can be seen standing in one of the windows, staring outward. What makes it especially unsettling is how unnatural it looks. The figure doesn't move at all, not even slightly, almost like it's frozen in place. There are no lights on inside the house, no signs of anyone living there, and according to locals, nobody has for a long time. The woman stays filming for a moment, clearly confused, before slowly backing away and getting back in her car once the footage ends. Later, people pointed out that the figure looks too realistic to be a decoration, but too still to be a real person, which only adds to the mystery. For a house already known for reports of child apparitions, this sighting just made its reputation even harder to ignore. In this clip, security camera footage from inside a family's room captures something that quickly spiraled from unsettling to outright disturbing. The camera shows the room late at night with no one inside, while small orbs drift through the air, floating in irregular patterns. What makes it stranger is that the camera itself keeps rotating slightly, almost as if it's tracking the movement of the orbs rather than randomly shifting. Each time the camera settles, it keeps landing back on a doll, sitting upright on a chair in the corner of the room, and every time it does, the doll appears to have changed position just slightly. Its head tilts, its body slumps, then straightens again in ways that don't look like simple camera glitches. Over the course of the footage, the movements become more noticeable, subtle but intentional enough to raise alarms. The Fodder family said they hadn't touched the doll at all that night, and no one was home when this was recorded. After reviewing the footage and noticing how often the activity seemed centered around it, they didn't want to take any chances. The next day, they removed the doll from the house entirely and threw it out with the trash, saying it felt less like a toy and more like something that was watching back. In the following video, two men are out late at night filming along a quiet road, one of them sweeping a flashlight across the darkness while the other keeps the camera steady. The place feels empty and still until something at the far end of the road catches their attention. It's shaped like a person, standing in a way that looks almost human, but not quite right, too stiff and uncanny to make sense.
¿No? Sí. Tengo una lamparota super expandex. Ah, bueno, tú tienes tu luz azul. ¿Sí?
Güey, ese es el velador de...
Es el velador, ¿no? Ah, velador. ¡Ey! ¡Velador!
Aguanta, espérate, ey. Shh, no te muevas.
Güey,
no mames, no te muevas ahí. Güey.
¿Velador?
Ese no es el velador, güey.
Güey, no es el velador. Sí,
No.
Yo también pensaba que era el velador.
No, aguanta. Deja que mi cámara enfoque bien, Deja que mi cámara enfoque bien, güey. Eso no es el velador. No digas perras mamadas, güey. Perdón. ¡Ey! Se me cayó algo, güey. ¿Qué se me cayó? A la verga. Sentí que se me cayó mi cartera, pero no. ¡Hola! No digas cosas. No. Güey, ¿fue aquí? No digas mamadas, güey. Buenas, velador. No mames. Esta madre no pudo haber salido, está con reja. Está con reja, güey. No digas mamadas, güey. No digas mamadas, Joe. Miren. No digas mamadas, güey.
Yo la vi moverse, güey.
No, Joe. No. No, güey, no mames.
¿Qué fue eso, güey?
No sé.
No mames, güey. No mames.
¿Crees que haya sido ella?
Güey, nos estamos metiendo más adentro del reino más. Banda, comparte.
No mames, güey, no mames.
Parece que los ojos te miran, ¿verdad?
Pareciera, pero no creo, güey. Güey, es que qué pedo, güey. Hola. Tú te moviste. Tú fuiste la que se movió. ¿Es así? No mames, güey. ¿Tú fuiste la que se movió, mujer? A ver, güey. Güey, es que era el vestido también así, güey.
¿Verdad?
Amarillo.
Yo pensé que era el velador, te lo juro, hermano.
Yo también, güey.
Qué bueno que me detuviste.
No, güey, no era el velador, mira. Blancanieves.
Blancanieves.
Ay, güey, dime que no era cierto, güey. No mames, güey.
Qué miedo.
Miren. Pero es que, güey, no creo que haya sido ella, güey, mira. Porque no se puede ni sostener esto, güey. Mira, y aparte está muy rompido todo, mira.
Sí, no, o sea, está hecha de fibra de
No mames, güey.
Pero ella no se puede mover.
Sería ella.
No tiene brazo, además.
Güey, porque yo no miro a nadie más, güey.
They zoom in as much as they can, whispering back and forth, trying to work out if it's someone standing there or something else entirely. The figure doesn't move at first, just stays there facing in the right direction, before slowly slipping behind a wall at the edge of the road. Both men panic and sprint forward, convinced they'll catch whoever it is. But when they reach the spot, there's nothing. No footsteps, no place it could have run, nowhere to hide. After searching the area with the flashlight, they finally spot a strange mannequin positioned nearby, its posture eerily similar to what they saw from a distance. Up close, it's completely motionless, just a lifeless prop. Still, the timing and placement make it hard to shake the feeling that something wasn't right, and they leave unsure whether they really saw a trick of the light or something that moved when they weren't close enough to prove it. Steve was out motorbiking alone as daylight started to fade, filming casually as he followed a narrow trail through the wilderness. At first, it just felt eerie in the normal way remote places do at dusk, until he began noticing bones scattered along the path, bleached white and unnaturally clustered. That's when the atmosphere shifted. The forest went dead quiet. No insects, no wind, no distant animals, just the sound of his engine cutting through an uncomfortable silence.
Just wait till the end. I don't like this at all. Oh god, there's even more bones than last time. Looks like we've already passed it a while ago, but that tree is gone. I'm probably gonna turn around soon. Oh, there's two ways. Holy crap, dude, this trail goes on forever. It just got really quiet really fast. That was my cue to leave.
What was this?
The trail soon split into two directions, and Steve slowed down, hesitating as he tried to decide which way to go. As he angled the camera to the right-hand path, something moves. Crawling out from the bushes is a figure that doesn't move like an animal or a person. Low to the ground, twisted, and disturbingly human in shape. It pauses just long enough to be seen clearly before continuing forward. Steve doesn't wait to understand what he's looking at. He immediately turns the bike around and speeds off the way he came, breathing hard as the forest stays unnaturally silent behind him. He later said he didn't stop riding until he reached a populated road, convinced that whatever he saw wasn't supposed to be out there at all. In the following piece of footage, taken from a Toddler monitor late at night, a parent captures something that still hasn't been explained. The camera is pointed directly at the crib, showing a close-up of their toddler sleeping peacefully. Nothing unusual at first. The room is dim, lit only by the soft glow of the baby cam, and the house is completely quiet.
What the f is that? That's so weird. Well! I'll kill you, son of a...
If you look closely, right beside the toddler, another head can clearly be seen resting in the crib. It looks like a second child, partially obscured, facing the camera. Moments later, the figure slightly shifts its small hand as it moves, just enough to confirm it isn't a shadow or camera glitch. The man watching the monitor panics and immediately runs toward the bedroom, still filming as he calls out. When he reaches the crib, there's nothing there at all. The room is dark, the toddler is alone, and there's no possible way another child could have been there unnoticed. After the recording ends, he insists he checked every corner of the room and the house, but found no sign of anyone else. The footage has since got many views, with many people questioning whether the camera picked up a glitch, a reflection, or something far more unsettling watching over the child that night. Andre, a young man living alone, explained that strange noises around his house were never something he really paid attention to, until one night when things escalated fast. He was sitting at his keyboard, casually practicing an impressive piece, completely focused, when a sudden clattering sound cuts through the music. He stops playing instantly, and then strange things start to happen.
Hallo?
The sound clearly didn't come from the keyboard, so he sets it down and walks into the kitchen to investigate. On the floor, a pillow from the living room is lying awkwardly, along with several other items that look like they've been knocked down all at once. As he starts picking them up, something happens behind him. A loud sliding noise echoes from the other room, and at the same time, a few keys on his keyboard press themselves, playing random notes with no one touching it. Andre slowly turns back toward the keyboard, his breathing getting heavier as he realizes the mess has spread. The trash bin has completely tipped over, spilling everything across the floor. Then it gets worse. From the living room, a sound that almost resembles a woman's voice can be heard, faint but distinct, followed by the TV turning itself on. The screen glitches with static, lagging unnaturally, before suddenly shutting off on its own. Just seconds later, the door near Andre slams violently, making him jump as the footage cuts out. Whatever caused that surge of activity came on all at once, and judging by his panic, it was the last thing he expected when he sat down to play music. Late one night, Jake was filming when he ran into his sister's bedroom holding a bottle of hot sauce, clearly not expecting anything unusual to happen. The camera swings toward the bed as he laughs, but his tone changes almost immediately when something strange catches his eye. Sitting right beside his sister is a teddy bear, and as soon as he speaks, it slowly tips over on its own. Jake reacts first, telling her the teddy just fell, but she barely looks up and calmly asks, "What?" as if nothing happened. That's when something crazy happens though. Take a look.
Alright, bottle of hot sauce, or say something embarrassing. Bottle of the bear just moved.
What?
Oh my god!
That's when things escalate fast. Without anyone touching it, the teddy suddenly jerks and slides unnaturally toward the middle of the bed. It doesn't fall naturally or roll. It looks pushed, almost like something invisible forced it forward in a single, deliberate movement. The shift is quick, aggressive, and completely out of place. Both of them instantly panic, yelling as Jake pulls the camera back. There's no laughter anymore, no explanation offered, just raw fear. They scramble off the bed and run out of the room as the footage cuts abruptly. Afterward, viewers pointed out how unnatural the movement was, especially compared to the first fall. Jake later claimed neither of them touched the teddy, and that nothing like that had ever happened in that room before, making this clip one of the most unsettling moments they've ever caught on camera. There's a lot of scary things you can find in your garden, but this exceeds all of them. Joseph was outside late at night, standing in his backyard and filming because he said something had been watching him from the far edge of the property for several nights in a row. At first, it's hard to make out what he's talking about, just trees in the distance, but his breathing already sounds tense, like he knows exactly where to point the camera. Eventually, he zooms in on it and passes the fear to us all.
Look, dude, she couldn't find her way over there, so now she's over here. She's back in here trying to fucking find a way into my property. You see her? Look at that face. Oh my god. It's right there staring at me. Dude, how scary is that shit? Oh my god, dude. What the f? She's crawling through all this shit, bro.
As the footage continues, a pale, unnaturally still face becomes visible deep in the garden, staring directly toward him without moving. It doesn't blink, doesn't shift, just stays there in a way that feels completely wrong. Halfway through the clip, a faint glowing orb appears near the face and drifts outward, almost as if it's coming from it. Joseph reacts immediately, stepping back and narrating in disbelief, sounding more exhausted than surprised, like this isn't the first time it's happened. He doesn't chase it or get closer. He just keeps filming, clearly shaken. After posting the video, Joseph explained that the face has appeared multiple times in the opposite end of the garden, always watching, never approaching. Some people say it could be a trick of the light or an animal, but the consistency of the face, the orb, and Joseph's reaction make this one hard to brush off. Whatever was out there didn't seem lost. It seemed like it knew exactly where it was and what fear it was instilling. In this next story, a man who had been working the night shift at a hotel for several years explains the creepiest thing that's ever happened to him on the job. He says he'd never experienced anything paranormal there before, which is why this moment completely shook him.
So I've been working at a hotel for, a couple years now. And I've never had anything like this happen. And I'm borderline freaked out, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm sitting down here at the front desk, right? And I'm on the computer and I'm just typing away. Phone rings. I don't look at the phone. I just answer it. And, I say my whole little spiel or whatever. And it's just silent. The phone is just silent. After about, 3 or 4 seconds, I say hello again. Nothing. And right before I go to hang up, it sounds like I'm hearing somebody just like breathing on the other line. I just hang up and I'm like, okay, whatever. I ain't thinking twice about it. But then I go and look at the caller ID and let me show y'all something. All right. That's the room that called. Okay. Peep that. 505. Now let me show y'all something. I'm gonna go over here to the elevator so y'all know I'm not bullshitting. And I'm gonna turn the camera around. How many floors do you see here? Because I'm pretty sure we don't have a room 505 nor 5th floor. This would be the night I quit. I don't do that shit. I don't do that shit.
His story goes like this. He's sitting alone at the front desk late at night, typing away on the computer, when the phone suddenly rings. He answers it normally, but on the other end there's nothing, just silence. After a few seconds, he says hello again, assuming it might be a bad connection, but there's still no response. Just as he's about to hang up, he hears something that makes his stomach drop. Slow, heavy breathing coming through the receiver. Without thinking, he hangs up immediately and checks the caller ID, expecting to see a guest room number. Instead, it says the call came from room 505. Confused and unsettled, he grabs his phone and walks over to the elevator to prove to himself it's nothing. He shows the buttons clearly on camera, and there is no 5th floor at all. The hotel doesn't even have a room 505. The realization hits him in real time, and you can hear his voice change as it sinks in that whatever was breathing on the other end of the line didn't come from anywhere that should exist. Who knows what caused this? Two friends were exploring an abandoned flat complex late at night, filming as they moved through the outside area to document the place for themselves. The building had been empty for years, with broken windows, peeling paint, and an eerie silence that made every footstep echo. As they were scanning the upper floors from the outside with a flashlight, one of them, a guy named James, suddenly stopped. He pointed the camera toward a very specific window, saying something had moved.
Just watch this.
Isn't it? Future in hand.
430 abandoned flats, and there is something in the window.
Open. Yo. You see movement then? Move the light. Yo. What the fuck is that? Yo.
The curtains inside that flat were moving slowly, swaying back and forth even though there was no wind, and every other window in the building was completely still. James zoomed in, trying to get a clearer look, when an unnerving face suddenly appeared behind the glass. It didn't move like a normal person stepping forward. It was already there, pale and distorted, staring straight back at them from the darkness. The two friends froze, in disbelief, as the face lingered for a split second before fading back into the shadows and disappearing entirely. After that, the curtain stopped moving. James later emphasized that there was no one else in the complex, and no way anyone could have known exactly where they were standing. Against their better judgment, they decided to go inside the building to see if there was any chance someone else was actually there. The moment they stepped into the block, it was clear the place hadn't been touched in years. Random stuff was scattered everywhere, rubbish piled up in corners, and the air felt stale and heavy. They slowly made their way toward the flat they'd been filming from outside, keeping the camera rolling the entire time.
We both go inside the building block to see who was in the window. What happens when we get in is beyond strange.
Hello?
Just watch.
Which one is it? Check this. I can hear somebody. You know, there's dinging and beeping and... Is that a window there? Yo. Hello? Isn't it? Hello? Yo! Who the fuck is it?
To be continued.
As they reach the room they believe the face came from, the guy behind the camera pauses and says he can hear something moving nearby. The area itself looks empty of life, stripped bare apart from debris on the floor. Then suddenly, a sharp metallic sound rings out, like a metal pin or small object dropping onto concrete. They both freeze. A few seconds later, it happens again, this time louder and closer, echoing down the corridor. Their tone changes instantly, voices dropping as they scan the room and nearby hallways, but there's nothing and no one in sight. James calls out a hesitant hello, his voice bouncing off the empty walls. Almost immediately after, another noise answers back from somewhere deeper in the building, but the source stays completely hidden. Whatever they saw in that window didn't stay behind the glass, and at that point, the exploration stopped feeling like curiosity and started feeling like they weren't welcome there at all. Subscribe as this exploration may continue in a future video. In the following video, A man who was home alone heard aggressive tapping, so started to film. The tapping kept going, slow at first, then steadily quicker, echoing from a room just out of view of the camera. He pauses, listening, clearly trying to convince himself it's nothing, before finally calling out a hesitant hello. The second he does, everything stops, dead silent. After a few seconds of waiting, he moves toward the basement stairs where the sound seemed to be coming from and starts descending, one step at a time.
Hello?
I did not leave the light on. Oh, shit. Stuff on the floor.
When he reaches the bottom, his camera pans across the room and reveals every single drawer hanging wide open, with a few objects scattered across the floor as if they'd been thrown. He barely has time to process it before, out of nowhere, a piece of cutlery suddenly launches itself out of a cupboard, clattering across the room. He panics instantly and sprints back up the stairs, the camera shaking wildly. As he reaches the top, you can hear something else running behind him, footsteps charging up the stairs just seconds after he does. The video cuts shortly after, and there were never any updates posted. Whatever was down there clearly didn't want him staying, and all anyone can do now is hope he got out safely. Late at night on the 23rd of April, 2022, at 11 p.m., a man was unwinding in his quiet house, talking to his dogs the way people do when the calm feels too still. The place had that soft nighttime hush, where every small sound seemed louder and the dogs were relaxed beside him without a hint of concern. He kept chatting with them, feeling comfort in their presence and the familiar routine, when something subtle but unmistakably out of place shifted behind him. Clip. One of the chairs at the dinner table leaned back on its own. One of the chairs at the dinner table leaned back on its own, as if someone invisible had pushed off from the floor, then slowly settled back onto all fours again like nothing had happened. His dogs froze, their ears lifting slightly, but they didn't bark, almost like they sensed something, but chose to stay quiet. The man felt that strange tightening in his chest, the kind that comes when you know you witnessed something you can't explain, but your mind tries to rationalize anyway. There were no drafts, no pets near the dining area, no one else in the house. The moment left him wondering if something unseen had been sitting there all along, listening just as closely as the dogs were. Chris tried to shake off the memory of the chair moving on its own, but a few nights later, his wife mentioned she had been hearing scratching noises coming from their bedroom, the kind that made her feel watched even when the lights were on. Wanting to prove nothing was wrong, he grabbed his phone and switched to the handheld camera, recording from inside of their bedroom.
But wifey said she'd been hearing scratching noises, or like, she said it sounded like something was in the wall in our room. So I'm gonna take a shower, change my clothes, get in some PJs, and we're gonna go, I guess, sit in the middle of the hallway till we hear something and see what we got. Right now it's 6:52 p.m. Yeah, give me a minute. I'm exhausted too. If I fall asleep, I apologize, but we'll check it out.
A couple of faint orbs drifted across the camera lens, and then those strange little taps echoed from the far wall, spaced out just enough to sound deliberate. He took a few careful steps forward, trying to figure out where the scratching had come from, when the door behind him gave a slow creak. He turned in time to watch it inch toward the frame, as if pulled by something steady and unseen. Then it clicked shut completely on its own. Sitting there with only his phone and the sound of his own breathing, Chris felt the same familiar dread creep up his spine, the kind that told him whatever was in their house had finally decided to make itself properly known. In the following video, CCTV footage from a young girl's bedroom captured something that immediately felt off, even before anything visibly happened. The room was quiet and perfectly still, the kind of silence you only get when everyone else in the house is asleep. A small bucket sat tucked against the wall, where it always stayed, untouched for days, and nothing seemed unusual until the camera picked up a faint flicker near the dresser. Without anyone in the room, the bucket suddenly tipped onto its side, then rolled with a slow, deliberate movement straight toward the middle of the floor, as if guided by an unseen force. A couple of soft orbs drifted across the camera, then another passed through the frame, each one subtle but unmistakable against the dark background. There were no pets running around, no vibrations on the floor, no reason for anything to move at all. The bucket eventually stopped in a spot it had never been before, and the room fell still again, like whatever caused it had finished making its point. Watching it back, it felt less like a random accident, and more like something inside the room was trying to draw attention, leaving behind a quiet question the footage couldn't answer. CCTV footage from the kitchen in the same house showed a late quiet hour, the kind where every shadow sits still, and nothing should be moving on its own. After the strange activity in the girl's room, the family had moved her doll onto a high shelf in the kitchen, hoping to keep it out of the way while they tried to figure out what was going on. The room looked normal in the video, but there was an odd heaviness to the frame, like the space was waiting for something to happen. Without anyone nearby, the doll suddenly tipped forward and slipped from the shelf, falling straight to the floor in a way that didn't look accidental or nudged by any draft. The impact made a muted thud, and for a moment nothing else stirred. The shelf was sturdy, the doll balanced carefully earlier that day, and there was no reason it should have moved at all. Watching the footage back, the fall felt intentional, like whatever had rolled the bucket earlier wasn't confined to just one room and had followed the object into the kitchen to make its presence known again. Late that night, their baby monitor picked up more than just the soft breathing of their other child, showing a dimly lit room that should have been still and safe. The parents had been debating whether to move both kids back into the same room after everything that had been happening, hoping it might make them feel more secure, but the monitor ended up capturing something that pushed that decision into question. An orb drifted across the camera in a slow, floating line, and before either parent could react, the bedroom door eased open by itself, as if someone on the other side had quietly pushed it wide. The baby didn't stir, but the audio picked up a strange mix of noises that didn't belong to a child at all. Soft, irregular sounds that seemed to come from different corners of the room instead of the crib. For a moment, the monitor felt like a window into something they weren't supposed to see. The kind of activity that made every instinct tell them the house wasn't calming down, but escalating. Knowing their child was sleeping peacefully while the room around them shifted and whispered on its own, made the parents rethink everything, wondering if putting both kids together would really keep them safer, or just expose them both to whatever was moving through the halls at night. After everything that had happened, the parents finally decided it wasn't worth the risk anymore and moved both kids out of their rooms for the night, letting everyone sleep together just to feel a little safer. The house felt different once the bedrooms were empty, quieter in a way that didn't feel comforting, almost like whatever had been causing all the activity was waiting to see what they would do next. They left the doll in their daughter's room from the first clip, partly because they didn't want it near the kids, and partly because they wanted to know if anything else would happen without anyone inside. The CCTV footage showed a close-up shot of the doll, which had been placed upright on a small chair, as it suddenly toppled forward and fell to the floor again, with no one around and no movement anywhere else. It didn't slide or wobble first, it just dropped, like it had been pushed or yanked by something unseen. The chair stayed perfectly steady, the air didn't shift, and after the doll hit the ground, the room went back to being completely silent. That clip ended up being the last strange thing they ever caught on camera, leaving them with the unsettling feeling that the activity had reached its peak and then simply stopped, as if whatever was behind it had finally gotten whatever reaction it wanted. At the Jefferson Hotel, a man working late claimed that a giant decorative candle had been sitting right in the way of a pool player earlier that evening, so he and a co-worker moved it to another spot just to keep the area clear. The night wind was quiet, the lobby mostly empty, and everything felt normal, except for the small mistake they didn't notice until later. They had accidentally left the front door unlocked. Hours after closing, they returned to check on something and found the candle lying on the ground, even though no one else was supposed to be inside.
Video of something that happened earlier today. So this candelabra, this big giant one right here, was in the way of one of the pool players last night. So they moved it. It's not the lightest thing to move, but they moved it in front of this door. Well, this door usually stays locked throughout the night, but what happened is we left it unlocked. And when I came in the next day, this candelabra was on the ground right here. Now, we do have a camera right here, but you're not going to see what happened on that camera. The other camera is actually way over here in our ballroom area, aimed through here, and we caught this on camera. I thought someone tried to open the door and to get in, and they knocked the candlestick over and then shut it. Well, I go back and look at the footage, and the door actually opened by itself, which could be explained by wind, but it then shut by itself, which is not explainable by wind. So let me show you, first off, you can open this door, and it has a little stop to it. So it doesn't open, first off, by itself easily. Next, if it hits the base of this, it would take a lot to move this. Now, if it did hit the arm up here, it could still fall over, but it would take a whole lot for it to fall over. Well, let me show you. Let me open the door and show you. I can open the door all the way, and it does not shut by itself. Matter of fact, it opens like that. So the footage you're going to see, you'll notice nobody walks by. You can actually see somebody walk by prior to the footage. You see the shadows there and in that window, but this footage, you'll see nobody walks by, door opens by itself, and then the door shuts by itself. So again, I can't really say it's anything paranormal, but definitely not explainable by wind. Let me show you the footage. Okay, so here's the footage. This is in the ballroom area. So I have to zoom way in. You'll hear some music playing in the background because we have some music playing, ambient music. But you'll notice the door at the very top of your screen. In a second, you're going to see somebody walk by. Right there. So there's a shadow of somebody walking by. So when I saw the candlestick on the ground, I figured someone tried to get in or, and accidentally knocked it over. But that's not the case. So I'm going to go to about 25 seconds and you'll see the door open and the candlestick fall. You can tell nobody's there. And now the door shuts. So kind of weird because you notice in the previous video, and I've done a lot of debunking on my videos, but the door doesn't shut by itself. It was not one of those deals where it's like a vacuum with the air conditioning or anything like that. Again, I can't say it's anything paranormal, but can't explain it. So let's watch it again. So we'll just chalk it off to a weird event, and I've never been able to recreate it, but just wanted to show everybody kind of what we capture in this area.
Wondering if someone had tried to break in, they pulled up the CCTV and the man started explaining all the ways the heavy front door couldn't possibly shut on its own, pointing out the weight of the hinges, the way it sticks, and how it takes a firm push to move at all. Then he showed the footage. The door into the establishment slowly eased itself open, like someone invisible had slipped in. Then after a few seconds it closed again with the same steady movement, sealing completely without anyone touching it. The candle's fall suddenly didn't look like an accident, and the unlocked door felt less like a mistake and more like an invitation something had quietly accepted. Later that night in the Jefferson Hotel, one of the staff members was making his rounds through the long hallways, sorting out linens and checking that everything was ready for the morning shift. The halls were usually peaceful at that hour, filled only with the quiet hum of the building and the soft shuffle of his footsteps, and nothing about the routine felt unusual until he reached the far end where the lights always seemed a little dimmer. He paused to adjust something when something caught his attention at the edge of the frame on the security feed he carried with him. A door beside him eased itself open with a slow, careful movement, stopping just wide enough to suggest someone might step out. Then after a moment it swung shut again without anyone touching it. The staff member stood frozen for a second, staring at the door that had settled back into place like nothing had happened, and the silence afterward felt heavier than before. There were no guests in that wing, no draft strong enough to move anything, and the door had always been known for sticking, not swaying. The moment left him with the uneasy sense that whatever had wandered through the front entrance earlier hadn't stayed in the lobby, but had drifted deeper into the hotel, watching from behind doors that shouldn't have been moving at all. Inside the Lizzie Borden house, specifically the Abby and Andrew suite, a location already known for its haunted reputation, an investigator named Kyle is exploring on his own. As he tries to enter the suite, the door repeatedly locks on him despite there being no one inside. The resistance alone is strange, but what waits beyond is worse. When he finally starts recording and manages to get in, the entire room is lit in an intense red glow, giving everything an unnatural, heavy atmosphere as he slowly moves through the space.
Trying to enter the Abby and Andrew suite at the Lizzie Borden house. The door locked on me with no one in there. This is really terrifying.
At one point, a door inside the suite closes by itself, with no one near it. Another detail investigators point out is how the camera suddenly goes out of focus right as he enters, something often considered a sign that it may be trying to focus on something not visible to the eye. Between the locking door the shifting focus, and movement happening on its own, the suite feels less like an empty room and more like a space already occupied by something unseen. In the same house, but at a different time, another moment was captured that made the activity feel even more deliberate. Ahead of the camera was a doorway, and the door itself began sliding back and forth on its own, slowly moving just enough to reveal the terrifying doll that was inside the room, then drifting back to hide it again, over and over, like something unseen was controlling the exact moment of exposure. The motion was smooth and controlled, not like it was swinging from a draft, but gliding in a way that felt intentional.
This is happening again. I will show you no one is there.
After repeating this several times, the door suddenly stopped moving altogether. The stillness that followed felt heavier than the motion itself. Kyle decided he had seen enough. He stepped out of the room and kicked the nearby doll far down the hall, putting distance between himself and the space, leaving the house with even more questions about what might be sharing it with visitors. Another moment from the same location adds even more to the tension inside the house. In a separate clip, a wooden door can be seen trying to open on its own, quickly pulling inward, except the metal chain lock is the only thing stopping it from fully opening. The pressure on the door looks constant, like something on the other side is testing it, pushing just enough to make the chain tighten and rattle.
This place is so haunted. Locked. Bathroom empty. Help!
Not long after, Kyle attempts to enter a different room, but the door resists him, pushing back as if someone unseen is holding it shut from the other side. He tries again, confused and uneasy, but the resistance doesn't change, making it feel less like a stuck door and more like something actively keeping him out. The combination of doors moving on their own and spaces refusing entry is enough for him. Kyle leaves the house shortly after, clearly disturbed, with the feeling that whatever is inside doesn't just exist there, it controls who is allowed in. Antonio was inside his house when something small but deeply unsettling happened right in front of him. A toy bicycle, the kind you'd expect a child to ride, suddenly began gliding across the floor on its own, rolling smoothly from one room into an adjacent one with no one near it. The movement wasn't jerky or accidental, it was steady and direct, like it had a destination. The quiet of the house only made it worse, the wheels faintly echoing as it crossed the floor.
Claudia,
The detail that makes the moment even more disturbing is what that toy represents. There are children in the home. Luckily, none of them were there at the time, which makes the situation feel less like a coincidence and more like something happened when the house was at its most vulnerable. Antonio is left staring after it, realizing this wasn't just an object moving, it was something choosing to move it. The next day, Antonio was trying to have a number 2 in peace when the activity followed him again. Sitting in the bathroom, already on edge after what happened with the toy bicycle, he noticed the door ahead of him slowly creak open on its own. He froze, staring at it, when it suddenly slammed shut. A few seconds later, it opened again and slammed a second time, louder, more aggressive. After a short pause, the pattern continued, the door opening slightly, then slamming with force, over and over, like something was toying with the timing. There was no draft, no one else in the house, and no logical reason for the movement to repeat so consistently. The sound echoed through the hallway each time, making the small bathroom feel even more enclosed. Antonio was left sitting there, unable to ignore the fact that whatever had moved the toy the day before now seemed to be following him from room to room. With no further updates, we have no idea how safe Antonio currently is, so we can only hope and pray. A group of friends were spending time together at a forest park, casually messing around while 3 of them helped one of their daughters on a swing. It seemed like a normal, light-hearted moment. Laughter, movement, nothing out of the ordinary. Their focus stayed on the child, making sure she was safe and having fun, and none of them paid attention to what was happening behind them.
Gente, del despacito no me la van a mandar al árbol arriba. No bajen los pies. Ahí era la buena.
No bajen los pies.
Oh, no. ¿Cómo se la cura, güey?
Es que está bien flaquillo ese bastón.
¿No viste? Parece que se levanta como... ¿Te toca ña? Sí se fue bien derechita. Yo no fui al tío Lalo. El último sigue Brian porque dice que no dice nada.
In the background, partially hidden between the trees, a strange and deeply uncanny figure could be seen moving through the woods. Its shape was vaguely human, but the way it moved was wrong, too stiff in some moments, too fluid in others, making it look unnatural. It lingered only briefly before slipping out of frame, unnoticed by everyone there. When viewers later spotted it in the footage, the moment changed from wholesome to disturbing, because whatever that was, it did not look like a normal person just passing through the forest. A woman was out walking along a trail she usually takes when she noticed something sitting off to the side of the path. It was a camera, partially hidden but clearly placed there, and when she picked it up, she saw what looked like dried blood on the casing. The discovery immediately made the situation feel serious, but one detail stood out even more. The camera still had battery left, which meant there could be footage saved on it. She was unsure what she might find if she turned it on. The quiet trail suddenly feeling very different than it had minutes before.
You're not gonna believe this. I just found a camera out here with something that looks like it could be blood on it. I have no idea, but I think there's still some battery on it, so there could be some footage on here. Should I look at it?
Instead of checking it right away, she asked viewers whether she should look through the footage at all, knowing whatever was on there could explain why it was left there, or make the situation far more disturbing than it already seemed. She eventually decided to share what was on the camera, posting the footage for others to see. The video begins with a slow 360 view of the forest, the lens turning steadily, capturing the quiet trees and empty trail from every angle. At first, nothing seems out of place, just still woods and distant shadows between the branches. During the rotation, a black figure can briefly be seen standing among the trees before quickly slipping behind one, disappearing from view as if it knew it had been caught on camera. The movement is subtle but undeniable, something solid enough to block the light, yet too dark and undefined to make out clearly. Some believe this figure could explain the blood on the camera, but there is no proof, no context, and no way to know what really happened out there, leaving only the footage and a lot of unanswered questions. Darwin and two of his friends were exploring an abandoned building that locals had warned them about for years, a place with a reputation for unexplained activity and people leaving early out of fear. They were filming casually at first, laughing it off until the mood shifted fast.
¿Ya está grabando?
Ya vamos.
¿Estamos activos? ¿Pilosos?
Por si acaso voy a sonar. Oye, suenan unos tacos, marico. Oye, suenan unos tacos, loco. Aguanta, mira, mira. Aguanta. Que ya se detuvieron. Pero que escuchaste.
Sí, chucha.
¿Escuchaste? No son los tacos de ese día del baño. Aguanta, aguanta. No sé.
Hijo de puta.
Mira, marico. Parece que hay algo arriba. Mira los tacos otra vez. Sí, espera. Vámonos, que chucha, vamos a ver. Déjame llevar una piedra por si me va a meter un piedrazo, loco.
Oye, pero ¿y si es una verga, güey?
Ah.
Bueno, si es un fantasma, no una verga, ¿cómo hacerlo?
No se le botar la escalera abajo.
¿Qué chucha es eso, güey?
Suena como que botea también una güey.
Sí, güey. Andy. Ven.
Ven, güey, ven. Pero, por si acaso es algo malo, loco. Aguanta, eso. Si es bautizado, güey.
Sí, creo.
Quiere traerlo amarrado, loco.
Oye, se están culeando al lado.
Oye, no digas eso, es que ese video van a ver todos en común.
Oye, no jodas. No jodas.
No importa si le metimos. Oye, para mí que están golpeando alguna casa, loco.
Oye, pero al lado no hay nadie, tú eres loco.
¿Escuchaste?
No, Malvin, no escuché. Pero no hay nadie al lado, pues ¿cómo van a estar golpeando?
Claro, son casas vacías. Ven.
Espérate.
¿Escuchaste?
Sí. ¿Qué carajo es eso?
Mira, como mi cuarto de acá.
¿De cuál está?
De este cuarto. Y solo estamos los dos. Ven. Entra vos primero, güey.
No, tú eres loco, güey.
Entra vos primero, loco. Deja ver si no hay nada en este cuarto. No hay nada. Ya se cayó, ya se fue, creo. ¡Uy! ¡Oye, cállate! No grites. Oye, mira, la puerta está abierta. Escuchamos que cerró una puerta, ¿te acuerdas? Deja ver si me cerraron la puerta de acá atrás. Oye, suena como que siguen caminando por arriba. Vamos. ¿Qué ves? Oye, si no sonaron el Mario. Oye, suena como que si alguien caminara, pero no se ve nada. Está todo. Oye, mira. Esa puerta, mira. Esa puerta estaba abierta cuando vinimos, ¿te acuerdas?
Marico, ¿escuchaste?
Qué bien. Ay, dile que traiga el perro, güey.
Andy.
Oye, viene de ahí, loco, y si alguien está ahí.
Oye, el fantasma así con grillo.
Un le dice ese man. Haz silencio, no nos gritarás, ¿verdad? No serás como loco. Verás que cuando tú gritas me putean, a mí me botan del trabajo. Oye, ¿quién golpea, güey? Oye, no hay nadie, marico. No hay nadie. Aguanta, suena por aquí algo.
Oye.
Ven. ¿Se escuchas? ¿Qué? Oye, hay algo en ese closet, marico.
Sí,
Aquí. Y yo no voy a abrir el closet. Supongo que me salga alguna pendejada.
From somewhere above them, clear footsteps echoed down the stairwell, heavy enough that all three froze and went silent. Then came a sound that didn't make sense, like a rush of wind, but distorted, almost shaped, as if it was being pushed through the building by something alive. More footsteps followed upstairs, pacing back and forth. One of the group tried to stay calm and slowly started climbing the stairs, the others close behind, their flashlights shaking. When they reached the top floor, the footsteps didn't stop. They moved deeper into the darkness ahead of them. As they stepped fully onto the floor, a burst of unsettling, almost demonic laughter rang out, sharp and close enough to make them recoil. A door somewhere nearby suddenly slammed shut, and panic took over as they sprinted out of the building, gasping for air. After a few minutes, they worked up the courage to go back inside, convinced adrenaline had gotten the better of them. But the moment they re-entered, the footsteps started again, just as loud as before. They climbed the stairs one more time, filming everything, but there was still nothing visible. Then a strange voice-like sound echoed through the hall, almost forming the words, "Help me." Seconds later, a door ahead of them slowly creaked open by itself, stopping just a few inches wide. That was enough. Whatever was in that building clearly didn't want them there, and it made sure they knew it. For the past hour, Christian says he'd been hearing strange knocking sounds coming from his kitchen. Soft at first, but frequent enough that he finally grabbed his phone to record. He walks in slowly, clearly tense, trying to catch whatever has been making the noise.
Hey guys, I've been hearing this really weird knocking coming from my kitchen for like the last hour. What the hell? No way. The hell?
As soon as the camera points toward the cabinets, one of the doors can be seen slowly opening on its own, just a few inches, before gently closing again. Christian freezes, speaking in disbelief as it keeps happening, almost like something testing whether it's being watched. The second he steps closer, the movement stops completely. He reaches out, pulls the cabinet open fully, and shows the inside is empty. No pets, no loose hinges, nothing that could explain it. The knocking doesn't return, but the silence that follows feels even worse. Christian later said this was the moment he realized the sounds weren't random at all, and whatever was in his kitchen only moved when it thought it was alone. Andos was home alone late at night, sitting at his computer when he heard a strange noise coming from somewhere outside his room. At first, it sounded almost like a voice, muffled and distant, the kind of noise you can convince yourself is just a neighbor or something outside. Still, it unsettled him enough that he grabbed his phone and started recording. He steps outside for a moment, scanning the area, then comes back in and slowly walks through the house, checking room after room to prove nothing's there. Everything seems normal, quiet again, almost embarrassingly so. But when he finally enters his parents' bedroom, that calm evaporates. As soon as he steps inside, the wardrobe door ahead of him begins to open on its own, slowly creaking outward, as if someone inside was pushing it. Andos freezes, then backs away, clearly panicking as the door opens with no one near it. He insists nobody else was in the house, and there was no draft strong enough to cause it. After that night, he said he stopped staying in that room altogether, convinced whatever made that noise earlier was waiting for him to come back. In this next clip from the YouTube channel Fourth Wall, which currently has over 268,000 subscribers and focuses entirely on paranormal investigations, the person behind the camera captures a moment that viewers still argue about. He's slowly filming a miniature 3D model on a table that resembles traditional Asian architecture, carefully panning the camera, but he feels heavy and uncomfortable. As he steps closer to the model, something unsettling happens off to his left. A small Buddha statue suddenly tips over and falls straight to the ground without being touched. The sound cuts through the room, instantly changing the mood. He freezes, then turns the camera to show there's nothing near it that could have caused the fall. No vibration, no movement, no one else present. What makes this moment even more disturbing to viewers is the symbolism. Many believe that if a presence is strong enough to knock over a religious figure, especially one associated with peace and protection, it could suggest whatever is there doesn't belong or doesn't want it to be acknowledged. After the clip, the creator admitted the atmosphere in the room felt colder and heavier, and he ended the investigation shortly after. Whether coincidence or something darker, this moment is one of the reasons Fourth Wall continues to trend in the paranormal community. Subscribe as this story will be continuing. In the following video, the man recording keeps the camera steady, zooming slightly as the movement behind the curtain becomes harder to ignore. The shadow paces back and forth with a clear, human-like shape, its head and shoulders briefly outlined as it passes the thin fabric again and again.
Hey, ¿qué pedo? Mamen, si ven eso. ¡Qué verga! Y, o sea, lo cagado es que estoy en un segundo piso.
After a few seconds, he musters the courage to pull the curtain aside, half expecting someone to be standing there, but the space is completely empty. To make things even stranger, he leans out and angles the camera through the window, showing the outside clearly. There's nobody below, no one walking past, no possible reflection. The most bizarre part is that he was on the second floor, meaning whatever cast that shadow couldn't have been outside in the first place. The curtain hangs still now, as if nothing ever moved behind it. The clip ends with him standing there in silence, trying to process how something could walk back and forth behind a curtain without ever actually being there. A woman was out walking her Labrador along a quiet trail, filming casually as the dog kept pulling hard toward the woods, unusually fixated on something off the path. She laughs it off at first, assuming the dog just caught a scent, but the way it keeps resisting and staring makes her turn the camera in that direction.
Come on, Bruce. What's up?
Come on. Come on. Oi. Come on. Bruce. Come on.
As she pans toward the trees, a faint, human-shaped figure can be seen standing just inside the tree line, partially obscured by shadow and distance. It's easy to miss in real time, and she doesn't react at all, continuing the walk. A few moments later, as the dog pulls again and she films the same area, the figure appears once more, this time slipping behind the nearest tree as if it's actively trying not to be seen. The movement is slow and deliberate, not like an animal. She walks on completely unaware, but she later pointed out the figure frame by frame when editing the video. Paired with the dog's sudden, intense behavior, many believe whatever was watching her knew exactly what it was doing and chose to stay hidden. In the upcoming clip, Manuel is exploring an abandoned school late at night, a place he's convinced is haunted after hearing about unexplained activity there for years. The building is silent except for his footsteps echoing through the empty halls as he films, slowly making his way toward the area where most of the reports seem to come from. The further he goes, the heavier the atmosphere feels, like the air itself is tense.
Para que vean que no es inventado, o sea, no tengo ningún otro dispositivo. La bocina la tengo aquí, o sea, no hay otro medio, estoy grabando con mi teléfono, un único teléfono. Y nuevamente escuché ruidos. Maldita sea. Nuevamente escuché ruidos Esta vez ya no es un niño. No mames. ¡Ey! ¿Quién está ahí? No seas mamón. Ay, no seas mamón. Estoy completamente solo y...
As he approaches a hallway near the bathrooms, a strange, high-pitched sound begins to ring out, faint at first, but sharp enough to make him stop in his tracks. He follows it, the noise guiding him straight to a bathroom on the left. As he gets closer, the sound shifts into something worse, a quiet, drawn-out wail that sends chills through him. Manuel steps inside, whispering "hey" into the darkness as the wail suddenly grows much louder, echoing off the tiled walls. He starts checking each stall one by one, showing they're all empty, but the moment he finishes, the sound abruptly stops. A second later, the wailing resumes again, this time coming from deeper inside the school, far beyond the bathroom he's standing in. Manuel freezes, realizing whatever made that sound wasn't trapped in one room at all, and it was moving. Part 2 picks up immediately where the last clip left off, and this time there's no mistaking how intense things have become. The noise is now incredibly loud, echoing from deep within the building, no longer distant or faint. It sounds unmistakably like a woman in pain, a long, strained wailing that fills the halls and makes the walls vibrate.
Güey, ¿qué pedo? No mames. No mames, y justamente en el baño de... ¿Quién está ahí? No, no mames. ¿Quién está ahí? ¿Qué pedo? Es que... Esto ya no es normal, neta, ya no es normal. No mames, se sintió algo bien cabrón esta parte de aquí. Clarito sí está escuchando. Salga. Es que no. Güey, ¿qué pedo? O sea, ella es aquí. Sacó. ¿Quién está ahí? ¿Quién está ahí? No mames, qué putas me metí, cabrón. Hola. Hola. Ay, no mames, no, ya no hay. No hay nadie. Ya no se escuchó nada. Rayos.
As Manuel stands frozen, the bathroom stall doors in front of him begin to open one by one on their own. It's very quick, as if something unseen is pushing them from the inside. That's enough to force him to retreat backward into the hallway, breathing heavy as the sound drags on longer than ever before. Just when it finally cuts out, he cautiously steps forward again, but the second he reaches the bathroom entrance, the scream erupts once more, even louder. He later claims all of this was happening around 3 in the morning. Unsure what to do, Manuel stays where he is as the cries continue, bouncing around the building and making it impossible to pinpoint the source. He decides to check the men's bathroom to the right, but as he films inside, it becomes clear the noise isn't coming from there at all. Suddenly, it shifts again, pulling him back toward the women's bathroom, where it now sounds less like screaming and more like someone violently gagging or vomiting behind the walls. Moments later, the agonizing screams return at full volume. Manuel calls out Hola several times, his voice shaky, but there's no response. Then, for the longest stretch so far, everything goes completely silent. Taking that as his chance, he slowly backs away, never turning his back, before finally leaving the building altogether. Whatever was inside didn't follow him out, but the sounds he captured were more than enough to convince him never to return.